LeBron James is doing it again. The 41-year-old superstar has spent over 2 decades collecting records, breaking barriers, and redefining what it means to grow old gracefully in professional basketball. And in the span of just 2 consecutive nights, he added 2 more historic chapters to his already legendary resume with the Los Angeles Lakers. On back-to-back games against different opponents, James etched his name even deeper into franchise history, demonstrating once again that even in his 23rd NBA season, he simply refuses to slow down or accept anything less than greatness. Leave your like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any updates. It all started on Saturday night in San Francisco. During the Lakers' dominant 129-101 road victory over the Golden State Warriors, LeBron James made his second three-pointer of the game. And with that single shot, he crossed a milestone that no other player in Lakers history had ever reached alongside him. James became just the second player in franchise history to knock down 1,000 career three-pointers while wearing the purple and gold, joining the late great Kobe Bryant, who finished his career with 1,027 threes as a Laker. Derek Fisher, the franchise's third-ranked player in that category, sits at 846, a total that James has now clearly passed and left behind. The milestone drew immediate praise, not just from the crowd at the Chase Center, but from basketball observers and historians across the sport who recognize just how rare and remarkable this kind of achievement truly is. To put it in broader perspective, LeBron James was never historically classified as a three-point specialist. His game was always built on explosive athleticism, physical power, relentless court vision, and elite finishing at the rim. Yet here he stands in the spring of 2026, firmly planted in historic company, alongside one of the greatest players this franchise has ever produced. That evolution speaks volumes about James's extraordinary commitment to growth, his willingness to study opponents, redesign his approach each new season, and continue adding dimensions to his game even when most players his age stopped developing long ago. That mindset remains a central reason he is still making history at 41, still relevant, still productive, and still forcing defenses across the league to account for his presence and versatility on every single possession. Then came Sunday. One night later, back home at Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles, the Lakers hosted the Sacramento Kings and delivered yet another lopsided performance, winning convincingly by a final score of 128-104. LeBron James was clean, efficient, and in complete control throughout the evening, finishing with 24 points on 8 of 15 shooting from the field, including a sharp 3 of 4 from beyond the arc. He also contributed 5 assists, 1 rebound, 2 steals, and a block in just 27 minutes of playing time. A well-rounded stat line that reflects both his individual quality and the team's collective dominance across both halves of the game. But it was his 3rd assist of the night that set off yet another milestone. With that single pass, James moved past Hall of Famer Michael Cooper, who retired with 3,266 career assists as a Laker, to claim 5th place on the franchise's all-time assists list. LeBron now stands at 3,667 assists in a Lakers uniform, with Norm Nixon directly ahead at 3,846. Higher up the historical ladder are Jerry West with 6,238, Kobe Bryant with 6,725, and the all-time franchise leader Magic Johnson at a seemingly unreachable 10,141 assists. With only 22 games left in the regular season, catching Nixon this year is highly unlikely, and surpassing Jerry West is mathematically out of reach during this campaign. But even having this conversation about a 41-year-old player in his 23rd season continues to astonish the most experienced minds in the game. In 41 appearances this season, James is averaging 21.5 points, 7.0 assists, and 5.7 rebounds per game, while shooting 49.8% from the field and 31.1% from 3, numbers that belong to a genuine contributor on a winning team, not a veteran coasting toward retirement. His presence on the court creates vital spacing for Luka Dončić to operate, generates clean opportunities for Austin Reeves, and provides the steady, composed veteran leadership that only comes from spending 23 seasons at the absolute peak of professional basketball. Head coach J.J. Redick praised the team's collective ball movement following the Kings' victory, noting the squad recorded 34 assists in the game, a clear sign of the unselfish, connected basketball that Redick's staff has demanded and worked toward all season long. The Lakers currently hold a 36-24 record, sitting 6th in the Western Conference, just half a game behind the Denver Nuggets for the 5th seed, and maintaining a critical 2-game cushion over the 7th-seeded Phoenix Suns. They face the New Orleans Pelicans at home Tuesday night, then travel to Denver Thursday before returning home for a 5-game homestand that will help define the final stretch of their regular season. LeBron James, now deeper in Lakers franchise history than Hall of Famer Michael Cooper, will remain central to everything the team does between now and whenever their season finally comes to an end. After a convincing 128-104 victory over the Sacramento Kings on Sunday night at Crypto.com Arena, the atmosphere inside the Los Angeles Lakers locker room was upbeat, energized, and filled with a palpable sense of collective belief. Amid that optimism, forward Rui Hachimura stepped to the microphone and delivered a message that was both remarkably honest and genuinely revealing about the real state of this team. The Japanese forward acknowledged the Lakers' genuine championship potential, while simultaneously putting a spotlight on the squad's most persistent obstacle this season, the wide and recurring gap between their very best basketball and the consistent version of that basketball they still haven't been able to sustain. "I think when we play good, like really good, we look like a championship team," Hachimura said following the win. "But we have a lot of times that we're not, and we look like we're just literally an out-of-the-playoffs team. We have to focus. It's a long season. We've had a lot of injured guys in and out, so we have a different rotation, a different starting lineup. I think we have to focus on that part. We have to play together, play hard, and that's going to be really good for us. Staying consistent, and we can look like a championship team all the time." It was a candid and refreshingly self-aware statement from one of this team's most dependable and underappreciated performers. Hachimura has been operating as a reserve this season after transitioning away from the starting five, but his contributions coming off the bench have been genuinely invaluable to what the Lakers are trying to accomplish. He is currently on pace to convert over 40% of his attempts from three-point range for the third consecutive season, making him the most reliable perimeter shooter on the Lakers roster in terms of sustained year-over-year consistency. His ability to space the floor and knock down open shots with confidence has given Los Angeles a credible and dangerous scoring threat from the bench every single night, something that has been genuinely difficult to find in previous Lakers roster configurations over recent years. The question that Hachimura's honest words inevitably raise is one that has hovered over this entire squad for most of the season. Are they truly a championship-level team, or do they merely flash that potential in select games against select opponents? Based on everything witnessed through 60 games played, the truthful answer sits somewhere firmly in between those two realities. When the rotation is healthy and the ball moves with real purpose and chemistry, and as it clearly did in Sunday's blowout of Sacramento and in Saturday's dominant 129-101 road victory over Golden State, the Lakers can be a suffocating and creative offensive force. The team recorded 34 assists in the Kings contest alone, a powerful testament to the collective, unselfish basketball that head coach J.J. Redick has been demanding and reinforcing from day one of this season. However, both of those impressive performances came against teams currently sitting outside the playoff picture. The real tests have been considerably less forgiving. The Lakers have struggled noticeably against the elite competition of the Western Conference, falling by double-digit margins in multiple high-stakes matchups against the conference's top seed. That recurring inconsistency and the failure to replicate their best basketball against the best opponents is precisely the dividing line between a team with championship potential and one that can actually act on it. Any team in this league can look dominant against inferior opponents on a given night. The truly elite franchises bring that exact same intensity, discipline, and flawless execution against the very best competition, game after relentless game. Part of the persistent challenge has been navigating a brutal injury carousel throughout the season. Los Angeles has dealt with a rotating door of unavailability all year, forcing J.J. Redick to constantly adjust his lineup configurations without adequate preparation time. Team chemistry, that's something built only through shared repetitions, developed trust, and accumulated experience together on the court, has been extremely difficult to establish under such unpredictable and shifting conditions. When players are continuously changing roles, positions, and lineups, the instinctive habits and collective confidence that define genuine championship basketball are much harder to sustain. Hachimura acknowledged this reality directly, pointing to the ever-changing rotation as a structural obstacle to the team-wide consistency this group needs heading into the postseason. What the Lakers require most right now is a healthy, focused, and sustained stretch of basketball as the regular season heads toward its final weeks. With 22 games remaining and a 36-24 record placing them 6th in the West, there's still meaningful time to climb toward a more favorable first-round matchup. But more than the seeding, there is time to develop the internal cohesion and collective confidence that genuinely separates playoff participants from legitimate contenders for a championship. Rui Hachimura believes this group has the talent and the will to be that team. The weeks ahead will determine whether the Lakers can stop occasionally flashing their championship ceiling and begin living under it every single night. The conversation surrounding LeBron James and his future with the Los Angeles Lakers has intensified considerably in recent weeks, and a new blockbuster trade concept is now circulating that would send the four-time NBA champion to the Milwaukee Bucks in exchange for two-time MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo. The idea, floated by Bleacher Report analyst Eric Pincus, is unconventional, structurally complex, and, by Pincus's own written admission, a genuine long shot. But it stands as the latest and perhaps loudest signal that the basketball world is increasingly treating LeBron James's departure from Los Angeles this offseason as a near certainty rather than a remote or theoretical possibility. The framework of the proposal is relatively straightforward in theory. The Lakers would first re-sign James to a new short-term contract, then package that agreement into a sign and trade with Milwaukee, receiving the 6'11" Antetokounmpo in return. The Greek Freak is currently putting together a dominant season for the Bucks, averaging 28.0 points, 10.0 rebounds, 5.6 assists, and 0.9 steals per game across 30 contests, while shooting a remarkable 64.5% from the field. Those are the statistics of a physically unstoppable force at the peak of his powers. Exactly the kind of elite, versatile big man production that the Lakers have been searching for as they construct a championship roster around franchise cornerstone Luka Dončić. Pincus was transparent about the realistic odds of such a dramatic deal materializing. Realistically, it's a long shot as the Lakers, assuming they're moving on from James, have goals in mind to bolster a Luka Dončić-led roster, he wrote clearly. The phrase, moving on from James, captures the prevailing sentiment that has been quietly building across the league throughout this entire season. James, who holds a no-trade clause and therefore maintains complete control over his own immediate fate, has confirmed he will finish the current 2025-26 campaign in Los Angeles. But the organization has been quietly and unmistakably shifting its long-term identity in the direction of Dončić as the franchise's true future, and James is fully and publicly aware of that reality. His agent Rich Paul, CEO of Clutch Sports, previously acknowledged that while LeBron remains genuinely appreciative of 8 years working alongside the Lakers organization, his singular motivation above all else has always been a real and realistic chance at competing for another championship. Antetokounmpo is not a natural stylistic fit alongside Dončić in terms of floor spacing and three-point shooting. He is not the perimeter stretch big that the Slovenian Star's pick-and-roll game most efficiently utilizes on the wing. However, what the Greek Freak brings in interior dominance, rim running ability, post playmaking, defensive versatility across all positions, and raw two-way impact at both ends of the court is exactly the foundational presence that could unlock a completely different dimension of Dončić's offensive game and fundamentally transform what this Lakers team is capable of becoming. More than anything, Antetokounmpo is a proven and battle-tested champion. He led the Milwaukee Bucks to the 2021 NBA title as the team's primary playmaker, winning Finals MVP honors in the process and permanently silencing every doubt that existed about his ability to deliver when the pressure and stakes are at their absolute highest. For a Lakers team still searching for a second certified franchise pillar capable of standing alongside Dončić at the very top of the Western Conference, acquiring Antetokounmpo would represent one of the most transformative roster moves in the recent history of the entire league. The backdrop to all this speculation is the increasingly complicated and sometimes tense dynamic between James and the Los Angeles front office. Reports earlier this season pointed to genuine friction between the 41-year-old forward and the organization, escalating to the point where former owner Jeannie Buss felt compelled to release a formal public statement explicitly denying she had mused about trading James to the rival Los Angeles Clippers. The simple fact that such a public denial was deemed necessary speaks volumes about the actual temperature of the relationship between the two sides. Meanwhile, James himself has increasingly spoken about his legacy in broader and more philosophical terms, pointing to his children, his family, and his community impact as his true lasting contribution to the world rather than rings, statistical records, or individual awards. This emotional evolution in how James frames his own story publicly, combined with the Lakers' undeniable organizational pivot toward Dončić as their centerpiece for the next decade, makes a summer departure look more inevitable with every week that passes. Whether the destination turns out to be Milwaukee in exchange for Giannis, Cleveland for a storybook homecoming reunion, or somewhere else entirely, the end of the LeBron James era in Los Angeles is drawing visibly and undeniably closer. For now, however, the King remains in Hollywood, still making franchise history on consecutive nights, still competing at an elite level deep in his 40s, and still keeping every door wide open for whatever extraordinary chapter might arrive next.